injury and laceration Focus 4 video for this month. Hand injuries are one of the leading injury types we experience at Aegion, which makes it an important topic to cover regularly. In this video, we'll take a look at the numbers from the past few years, discuss proper PPE, discuss proper hazard management, and also hear from an Insituform employee with some valuable first-hand experience. Throughout our workday, we encounter many hazards, primarily with our hands. Our hands are used in almost everything we do on a daily basis. Some of the hazards we face are from machines with heavy or fast-moving parts that can pinch or grab, sharp tools that can cut or puncture, corrosive materials that can damage the skin, and each year thousands of people suffer unnecessary injuries to their hands, wrists, fingers, legs, knees, and ankles. The initial pain caused by these injuries is often just the beginning of a long ordeal. In 2021, the CPP and ISP platform saw 32 total laceration injuries. Looking at the graph, you can see that exactly half of those 32 injuries involve the hand, wrist, or fingers. Hands have the highest potential likelihood for lacerations of all body parts. This should come as no surprise since again, we use our hands for almost everything. However, this does give reason to ensure our focus on hand placement and proper protection. Going back further to 2020, we again see that the hands were involved in about 50% of all lacerations. What stands out from 2020 and 2021? Looking at the numbers, they are almost identical in comparison. With hand injuries being the number one body part affected, this is a great place to focus our attention on and reduce the number of hand injuries this year. With roughly half of all laceration injuries involving the hands, we know it's because they are used in many more ways than other body parts. However, tracking the trends of each case, we can also identify a few leading causes of how hands are injured. Most of the hand injuries are due to improper PPE or lack of PPE. So in this case, the wrong glove for the task or no gloves at all. Another cause is from being placed in line of fire positions, such as pinch points or in line with the direction of a cutting task with a knife or razor blade. To help ensure our hands are protected, we need to develop an attitude of protecting ourselves and working safely. This means better focus and attention to hazards and potential outcomes or risks. Once risks have been identified, we need to choose ways to mitigate the risk by controlling the hazard. We must use PPE as our last line of defense. It cannot be the primary point of our safety expectation. Gloves are essential for many tasks in the field or in manufacturing locations. However, all gloves are not equal and do not protect against all hazards. It's critical to use the right glove for the right task and to carry more than one set if your hazards change often. Select which glove is right and understand the limitations of that glove. Again, PPE should be the last control used on top of other controls that are more effective in your protection. For example, identifying a pinch point and finding better hand placement for a task is much more effective towards your protection than any glove can offer. Now we're going to hear an interview over a Microsoft Teams video chat about a recent hand injury with Insituform and some of the effects of that injury.
Hey Juan, it's Scott. How are you, buddy?
Good, and yourself?
Good, good. Thanks for joining me tonight. As you know, as I told you, we want to kind of go over your incident injury that you had and kind of talk about it so other people can learn, correct?
Yes, sir, for sure.
Okay, so first things first, tell us about your injury and how it happened on the job site.
Okay, so this happened back in November, and we were working in Salinas. We were putting the liner in. We were using this Douglas machine, and I was in charge of closing and opening the bulbs. And I had my finger inside the diamond mesh. And once I closed the bulb, the actuators got the tip of my finger, and I lost like half of an inch of the tip of my finger, index finger.
And
That's
when
pretty
it
much
happened,
what
and when it
happened.
happened, you said you really didn't know it happened, and until they saw the other tip of your finger in the glove, right?
Exactly. I couldn't see anything until I took off my glove, and it was I just started seeing blood, a lot of blood, and the tip of my finger was on the glove.
So, so you've obviously told us you lost the tip of your finger there. Does, and of course you got, the tip of your finger missing. Are there any other lingering problems or effects to your finger or your hand as a result of this injury?
Not really, not really. I've been able to perform everything as normal. So not really. It's just a little sensitive, but that's gonna go away with time.
So lingering sensitivity while it still continues to heal over the long term, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. So what were some of the lessons we learned from doing the investigation, and what did we learn as a company? Can you kind of tell me that?
Um, yes, it's just to be aware of every single move that you make, that you do, while you're on duty. Every single um every single move that you make, just be extra focused, always be focused, and to kind of take a look at to the equipment too, to make it safer and make it safer to everybody in the company. And that's pretty much it.
And have you, since this injury, I know from the investigation, you were brand new to our company at the time. What lessons did you learn about asking questions, making sure you understood the job task, those type of things? Can you tell us?
Yes, never do something if you're not 100% uh, sure of what you're doing. You have to understand first what you're doing in order to actually do it. You have to ask first and understand what you're doing, because they can probably tell you to do something and you're gonna be able to do it, but you don't really know what you're doing. So it's super important to ask any questions that you have before performing anything.
So, in your words, what is the risk of this injury happening again to you working on another piece of dual gland, or another new hire doing the same thing you did, or another member of any team that works for Asion? Can you tell us?
Was there risk
Yeah.
is happening again? Um,
Would you say it's highly likely that this could occur again, or not very likely?
not, it's not likely to happen because they're working on fixing it, on fixing, you know, that, on making the machine safer. So I doubt it's gonna happen again.
Okay. And specifically to you, um, how has this injury incident changed your mentality or the way you approach your job tasks on a daily basis?
Um, it just it changed my mentality. Let's say that I just learned this really valuable lesson of be focused all times. Before you do something, because on my case, I did it and I didn't really took a step back to do the next move. I did it all at once, and that's how this accident happened. So, don't rush yourself. I think that's the best way to put it. Don't rush. You know, even though you're in pressure or something that we have to uh, get the job done, take a take a quick second to before you do any move.
Think about it and talk about it, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Hey, Juan, I want to thank you for your time tonight. Thanks for speaking with us. And I appreciate your
man.
time, okay?
Alrighty. Have a good one.
As we noticed from Juan's story, being aware of hand placement is critical to your safety. Don't rush to complete a task, but instead ensure you understand the task fully and work through all of the hazards of the task to avoid and control them prior to beginning. Ask questions when needed and ensure total understanding. Use the proper tools and equipment for each task to avoid pinch points and avoid positions that could cause stress and fatigue to your hands or body. Use the proper gloves for each task and hazard. And lastly, avoid repetitive motions that could increase the likelihood of ergonomic issues. When we look at incidents, we see many different types. However, many of them are caused by improper control methods, if any at all. Rushing to complete a task makes it difficult to identify all hazards in front of you. It's critical to slow down and think through proper controls first. Prior to the task, develop a plan. During this phase, anticipate the safest way to complete the task. It's your responsibility to take time and plan out the task safely. Identify the hazards. Planning ahead allows you to evaluate the task and identify the hazards to mitigate the risk. This is your opportunity to decrease the potential severity and the potential likelihood of an incident. Control the hazards. Focus on how each hazard can be controlled by the most effective means necessary, such as elimination, substitution, engineered controls, administrative controls, or lastly, PPE. Anticipate, evaluate, and control hazards for each task. Planning helps prevent incidents and injuries and improves our path to a zero incident culture.